Okay. Happy Friday, everybody. I wanted to pop on here and cover prescription diets and functional diets a little bit more in depth. We discussed this some last month during our bag swap and about how we were swapping out foods that you were feeding for foods that we carry to give us a try and see if our functional diets and our diets here might be a good trade up for your pet. And I wanted to circle back on the prescription diet issue, mostly because of expense. If you have a pet who's on prescription diet right now, you probably are paying a lot of money. And that's not necessarily because you're paying for higher quality ingredients or higher quality pet food. You're really paying for more of a marketing deal. The other thing I would tell you about prescription diets is they are often made void of something that is necessary. Give you the best example I can is if you're feeding a cat food that is for a cat that is having thyroid issues. If you're feeding prescriptive diet for a cat with thyroid issues, they typically are taking out the iodine. And if that's a dry food, then that cat is not going to go seek water to drink, because if it's the dry food and it doesn't have the salt, then it's not going to by nature go and seek water. And so that may offset and start causing urinary issues or bladder issues or kidney issues. And so that's kind of how these prescription diets typically work, is they void what is causing the problem. So if you have a low phosphorus food or renal diet for a dog, you may see that the protein is a lot lower, but that's not necessarily what a senior dog might need. They may need a little bit more protein. They may be losing their muscle mass. So we have ways here that you can still get some prescriptive needs met for things like low phosphorus diets without sacrificing what your pet needs by feeding a functional diet. So this is a restricted diet. We have this for both cats and for dogs. Low phosphorus foods by our friend Dave. And if you've not watched my live with Dave, you should go back and find that on our YouTube channel. Dave Ratner is a great guy, and he has a great functional diet line. So he has restricted diet. With low phosphorus, he has hip and joint wet food. He has a renal diet. We have lots of different renal diets here that are great for animals that might be suffering from heavier, more damaged kidneys as they age. This is a real popular one by our friends with Forza 10. I know that I've had several friends with dogs that have renal issues that have tried this out, and it is a great functional diet. We also have functional diets and gently cooked by My Perfect Pet. If you are interested in still feeding your pet a fresh diet, but you're struggling to find one that might fit with their needs if they have functional needs. Kim, thank you. Perfect question. Yes, I have a couple of different options. One I did not bring over is Farmina Digestion. Farmina Digestion is a great option for you. I don't know if you're looking for dry or wet, but I would suggest adding both in, maybe starting with a transition dry, if that's what you're feeding, and then adding in some wet. This is a newer, Open Farm is not a new line for us, but this is their functional line is newer to us. This is their Digestive Health, and it is wild Alaskan pollock and oatmeal. And this is a great digestive health functional diet. Okay, Kim, I would recommend adding this in and getting this started. And then you definitely want to add in some kind of moisture vehicle. So you want to add in either goat milk, pet safe bone broth that we carry, or you could go to the Dave's. They have a bland diet, which is a chicken and rice, which is really good for digestive health. But I recommend finding a moisture vehicle to feed with your dry. So you're not just feeding dry alone, but you definitely only want to switch one thing at a time. So Open Farm Digestive Health, or our friends with Farmina, they have a great digestion formula that I love. So that would be another one to look at and try out. And of course, we have samples, so we can help you with that. And all of our dry food is guaranteed. So if you try one and it's not working out, you can bring it back in the bag and we will refund your purchase price. You mentioned that she's on a probiotic. So probiotics are great. And of course, we have lots of different probiotics here. But one of the things I'd really recommend is to not stay on the same line of probiotics, because it can actually backfire on you. You can get an overgrowth of certain probiotics if you stay on the same strains of probiotics. So that's why we offer a lot of different options. If you've ever seen our probiotics by Adored Beast, they offer some great different probiotics that you can rotate through. So that is one of the things. Okay, you're on the Multiflora by Purina. You might come in and try our Herbsmith or the Fortiflora, probably by Purina. Sorry, not Multiflora. You would try our Herbsmith. They have a great probiotic to start out on, but then I'd recommend dabbling in the Adored Beast probiotics. You definitely want to rotate. You don't want to always give the same probiotic, again, because you can cause an overgrowth of probiotics in their digestive system, and an overgrowth can look somewhat the same way as digestive issues. You can start seeing maybe loose stools, upset stomachs. So you definitely want to make sure that you're not staying on the same strains of probiotics. But for digestive health, Open Farm is great. Farmina is great. And we are getting ready to bring in, I'll go ahead and talk about this. We're getting ready to have, starting next week, this line called Square Pet. And one of the things about Square Pet that's wonderful is they are, let me find this so you can see, they are formulated by a veterinarian. So here are the pet professionals behind Square Pet. And we recently met these individuals at Global, and they developed this specifically to give better quality functional diets for pets. Here is one of the vets participating in the formulation of Square Pet. And so one of the things, here we go. You can see all of their different formulas here. We're going to be carrying their low fat, their skin and digestive support. Let's see if is it taking it? Yeah, there we go. So the skin and digestive support, the low fat formula, the ideal digestion, the low phosphorus, the active joints, and then we're going to be carrying the canned foods as well. So this will really be great for those of you who are on prescription diets, to use this as a way to maybe save some money, because those prescription diets are very expensive and they're really not intended for long-term feeding. So it would be great to get them onto a diet that is more complete and balanced. We offer all different kinds of functional diets. So I'm just covering a small amount of them here, but typically for cats, you can see urinary tract infections. You can also see a lot of kidney issues with domesticated cats. I was just talking to somebody yesterday, encouraging her to add more wet food into her cat's diet because she's only feeding a dry food. Here's the thing about kitty cats. They need moisture with their diet. It's really better if we can feed them all wet food. But cats also get really addicted to those carbohydrates, just like all of us, wants a little bit of carbohydrate now and then. And so it can be hard to transition them off of a completely dry diet. So you may still have to offer some of that, but incorporating as much moisture as you can will help their kidneys. Kitty cats, when they go to drink water, they don't have the ability to cup their tongue like a dog does. And so they can't really rehydrate their body drinking water. It's kind of like trying to rehydrate your body by dipping your finger in a glass of water. It's not really going to get you very far. And you don't really feel rehydrated when you've taken a shower. It just doesn't happen. So, them even pouring water all over their body is not going to do it. They just cannot rehydrate their body that way. They need to eat it with their diet. That's why a wet diet for kitty cats is so much better, and so much better for their kidneys. I was reading a statistic once that said domesticated indoor kitties, by the time they are 10 years old, 85% of them are chronically dehydrated. And that lends itself to kidney disorders as they get older. So it's a really staggering number. And that's because kitty cats in the wild, or, that go hunting, are going to eat mice and going to hunt, and they're going to get the moisture with their diet when they eat their prey. So for kitty cats, we really recommend using some of these functional wet foods. Our friends at Farmina, again, have some really great functional cat and dog foods. They have a great urinary diet, both dry and canned. And we really love both of those. Now, am I slamming all prescription diets? Of course not. There are some prescription diets out there. They're definitely helpful and do help in the moment. I know there are some foods that help with bladder stones and things like that, dissolving bladder stones. I just think for long-term use, it's better, and it's probably better for your pocketbook too, to get on a more complete and balanced diet and only use those prescription diets for a short-term basis. The other thing I really recommend is rotation. We preach a lot about rotating what you feed your pet and being able to rotate what you feed your pet from the standpoint of availability. But then also, these are processed diets. Even great diets that we have here are all somewhat processed, even if they're minimally processed. And so you definitely want to be sure that you have other available foods in case of a recall, or in case of your pet having some issues. So definitely something to consider, rotating your pet's food. And we can always offer you the same guarantee we have every day on the dry foods here in our store. And if it doesn't agree with your pet or there's a problem, we can always trade it out for you. I just really wanted to is anybody out there feeding prescription diet and they really want some help on recommendations? Kim, I hope those recommendations helped you. You can come and get, more specifics at either one of our store locations from our store staff. We have some great functional diets and some great things for digestive issues. Anybody else? Oh, wait a minute, see if anybody else mentions anything. But as always with these Facebook Lives, it's a continued conversation. So if you're watching this at a time when I'm not live, you can comment on it. I'm still paying attention and I will still respond to you. You can also know that we have stores staffed with staff that know all about the pet foods that we carry, and they can help find the right match for you and talk with you further about your needs for your pet or pets. Okay. Don't really see anybody else commenting, but I know that these get watched long after I am live. So definitely feel free to comment, and I'll be happy to respond to you with any available things we have that might match your needs. But know that we're going to be getting in Square Pet. Let me go back there real quick so you guys can see. And for now, we're getting in their dog food. The cat solutions that they have, I can get them. They're obligate carnivore nutritions. They don't have any functional diets yet in the cat arena, but they do have these, and we can get them for you if it's something that you're interested in feeding your pet. So they're just a super high protein dry cat solution. So that is what we will be getting in. You can see the lineup there. They also, they have one that is completely egg-based. Let me find this one, the square egg. We will also be bringing this one in. This is meat-free. And so if you have, I've seen rare circumstances where we have a situation with a dog, more specifically a dog who I once saw a Bichon that was allergic to typical protein sources because of the leaching of a compound, and the dog was sensitive to it and needed a food that wasn't vegetarian necessarily, but they needed something more like this. So they went to a vegetarian product and then added eggs and things like that. But this would be a great formulation for that kind of a scenario. We also have certain kind of dogs that can't have purines or need low purine diets. And so this would be another good option for that. Dalmatians in particular need low purine diets because they can tend to be prone to bladder stones because of the purine. So that is square egg and very low purine diet. So all of these things will be coming to both of our store locations next week. And as we roll it out, our staff will start getting trained on it, but it is a great product. And I feel very confident in carrying it because of all of their standards and protocols. And I think a great switch off for anybody on a prescription diet. And we can show you how the price point will be better for your budget, especially in this economic climate. Who is not going to want to save some money? So there you go, guys. That is our deep dive on prescription diets and what we have as an alternative, which are functional diets. Please, as you watch this and you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us so we can answer your specific questions. So thank you guys so much. Hope you have a great afternoon and a wonderful holiday weekend. We are open 11 to 4 on Sunday. If you happen to have some last minute needs, we plan to close early so that our staff can take some time with their families. Have a wonderful, wonderful Friday afternoon.